A familiar name is apparently open to move on, and we are talking about Jonathan Marchessault. He wants out of Nashville after just one season. What if? Next on Locked On Golden Knights.
You're Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi again, everyone. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick from Las Vegas. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Find us wherever you get your podcasts. I am a longtime sportscaster, play-by-play guy, too, and, of course, a marketing consultant. And Chris is the owner of Silver State Cards and Sports and the collectibles editor for the Hockey News. Coming up ahead on today's action-packed show, in addition to our lead subject, we'll say, was it a year wasted? We'll talk about that. And the Oilers and Panthers, are they going to be playing each other again in the Stanley Cup Final? But first, we've got our big story of the day. Jonathan Marchessault is in the news. Why? Why, you ask? Because Frank Saravalli, the good doctor on the Daily Faceoff, ranked Marchessault, the former Golden Knight, as the number 5 most likely player to be dealt in the offseason. That's correct. He wants out after just one season of a 5-year times $5.5 million contract. Marchessault doesn't have a Vegas home to come back to, though, because his wife, she packed up everything before the final Vegas decision was made, we are told. And so no home still remaining here in Vegas. Any possibility?
She left early? Like
any
Shea Theodore style?
Any possibility of Marchessault coming back home? Just 21 goals this past season. But the system in Nashville just wasn't good, according to him. And you know he would have scored some goals here.
I think Mitch Marner would be a great. Oh, sorry, I'm so conditioned Mitch Marner to keep talking about Mitch Marner right now. No, listen, this is fun. This is interesting. Rough year for Marchessault, right? I mean, you look at what happened with the Preds. This is the same team that got a delay a game penalty because they put the wrong starting lineup out there from what they had put on their lineup card. Just a team that was an absolute disaster, and it's got to be difficult for the situation that he put himself in. Marchessault didn't take his deal with the Golden Knights. Again, that's another issue for another time. He takes the deal with the Preds, which is where he wanted to be. He agreed to that. And on paper, it seemed like a good situation. But this, unfortunately, is not what Marchessault thought it was going to be. And again, go back to the quotes. I think it was January, December, whatever it was. Every time I'm there, I wonder who I'm jumping on the ice with. I had a line during the warm-up and started the game with other guys. I changed lines about 3 times, but then he also said, I'm a soldier. You tell me to be there, I'll be there. You tell me, I'll do that. So he walked it back right away.
So he's made it known already. Marchessault is not happy with the Predators. He doesn't like the coach, Andrew Brunette, or the system.
Plus, he still have a job, Andrew Brunette?
I don't know. And plus, they moved Marchessault around a lot, as we saw. Clearly, it did not work. And they were awful offensively, absolutely brutal. And Brunette, the surprising thing, historically, right, I think is an offensive coach. But, you know, on locker cleanout day, Marchessault said he started talking about Bruce Cassidy and the Golden Knights. Like at my last stop, he said Bruce Cassidy and him, they butted heads. He said, but Cassidy makes adjustments. Oh, boy.
This is I mean, listen, I think there's a bug that needs to be squashed right now. Let's be clear about this. I don't think Marchessault's coming back to Vegas. All right. I don't know if that's a possibility. The only way that would possibly maybe happen is if the Preds ate probably between $1 and $1.5 million of his salary at this point. And then all of a sudden you're talking a previous 40-goal scorer, Conn Smythe winner, and you get him, maybe on the cheap, so to speak. I know it goes past where the Golden Knights want to be as far as term, but if it was in that 3 to 3.5 range, all of a sudden maybe things would be looked at differently. But looking at the Preds right now, they bought out Matt Duchene. They bought out Kyle Turris. Matthias Ekholm has a little bit left. So basically going into the 25-26 season, the Preds already have, call it 8.8 and a hook. They have $8.8 million in dead cap right now. So if they retain anything to move on from Marchessault, at least as far as the Golden Knights are concerned, that'd put them in the 9.5, 10 million range. They would have 13% or 12% of their salary eaten up as dead money. That's just not a path for success. So if there is a deal involving Marchessault in the offseason, it would definitely take a broker besides the Preds to take on some of that salary, because Golden Knights aren't bringing him back at $5 million. It's just, there's no way, no how.
And Marchessault also said, I get the feeling he's trying to be moved, because on locker cleanout day, he started talking about every team should take a page from the best teams, from the successful teams in the NHL. Again, I think he's alluding to Vegas, what they actually built here, and very outspoken. And okay, so where to next? Where to next for Marchessault? Southern California? Hang on.
Yeah, I mean, Southern California Blackhawks are looking to take on salary this time of year. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how his situation improves. And you look at all the players on the Preds, right? You just, if you're a Preds fan or, a Preds employee, whatever level you are, you just have to hope you chalk it up to a year wasted, Tony. You have to hope it's just simply a year wasted. And then the Preds, everyone kind of figures it out, and Brunette figures out to be a good coach. And yeah, what I don't like here, I didn't mind Marchessault chirping the Golden Knights throughout the offseason and even in the season. I have no problem with that whatsoever. We've been very clear on how we feel that deal went down. And looking at what happened to the Golden Knights in the playoffs, Marchessault was missed. Does he swing that Oilers series in the Golden Knights' favor? We're not going to get ahead of ourselves here. But Marchessault was missed. We'll leave it at that right there. If I'm a Preds fan, if I'm a part of the Preds ownership or general management group, whatever, hearing any comments from Marchessault about his situation in Nashville, that's just not good. And it's not going to help his value when he's going somewhere else. Now, again, Marchessault is outspoken. We know in Vegas, at least we know exactly who he is. Outside of the league, they might not know Marchessault as well as, people around the Vegas area and everything. So you just kind of look at it and chalk it up to a player that's passionate and wants to compete, but it also looks like it's sour grapes, and he's been there for a year. This stuff takes time. He's been spoiled in Vegas. Anyone who was in Vegas for 7 or 8 seasons has been spoiled with success, and now he's got a Chandler Stevenson got to grab his nuts and go to work, and he's not necessarily doing that right now.
And he's starting to age really fast now, because this contract, I think, would expire when he's 38 years old. So there's a lot of issues on that front. And what I was trying to say earlier is he doesn't want to go back to the cold. He's not like, okay, I'm done with Canada, it's too cold, and then maybe looking for tax breaks, maybe Florida. But
Full circle back to the Panthers.
But Southern California does look appealing, because what do you think of him and Marner going to one destination, either Anaheim or LA? Now, that would give VGK fits here for sure.
No, I like it, and I think it's a very reasonable possibility. Something like that could happen. You never know. It's the NHL offseason. They've been more and more exciting for the last few years. Marchessault with the Golden Knights in his final campaign, 42 goals, 27 assists, 69 points. Golden Knights scored 263 goals that season. Last season with the Preds, 78 games, 21 goals, 35 assists, 56 points. The Preds scored 212 goals. Why do these numbers matter? Well, people are saying Marchessault had a down year, his points are down, whatever. Yes and no. Marchessault factored in 26.4 for the Preds and 26.2% of the goals for the Golden Knights in his last season. So he's involved just as much in the totality of the team's scoring. So Marchessault's game has not dipped at all, in my opinion. The situation has changed definitely, but his game has not dipped one bit. It's going to dip at some point as he gets older, but right now he's still, at least for 2 to 3 more seasons, should be counted on for 48 to 60 points with a spike somewhere in there.
Yeah, for sure. He still has a lot of hockey left in him, and of course, if he were here in Vegas, he would have that revitalization like we saw with Riley Smith. Coming up next, Was it a year wasted? We'll talk about that as we return right here on Locked On Golden Knights. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Well, you can find it when you look and find Wonderful Pistachios. It's a great source of protein. It's one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, and it gives you more than 10% of your daily value. Plus, they are packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. And personally, myself and Chris both like the no shells variety because it's the perfect grab and go. We don't have to mess around. It takes a lot of work there for us to
I don't have to clean
get
up
the
after
shells off.
myself.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're looking for something that, again, has a complete protein and provides all the 9 essential amino acids, then Wonderful Pistachios, those little green wonders, are for you. That's right. And of course, it's great for the grab and go if you're on the road between meetings or dropping off the kids. Barely have time to sit down and grab a lunch or a meal. Sometimes get snacking and get cracking with a snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn a lot more. Get cracking, Vegas. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com. Back on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights, Tony Cardasco, Chris Golick reporting from Las Vegas. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Find us wherever you get your podcast. Please make sure to subscribe to our Locked On Golden Knights YouTube channel. Coming up on Friday, this is a very short week. It's just in a couple of days. Friday, of course, is WTF with the Friday day. And there's a lot of knockoffs out there, but we are the original WTF. And then, of course, on Saturdays, we've got the Chris and Chris Jr. show. Check it out, the YouTube exclusive. So William Karlsson on locker cleanout day was obviously frustrated. You can compare him to Marchessault, but Marchessault scored more than double the amount of goals that Carlson did. But he even made the statement, no, Carlson, every year you don't win feels like a year wasted. Feels like a year wasted. Was this a year wasted? I mean, he thought that VGK had a team that could make a very deep run. Kelly McCrimmon goes back and refutes that comment a day later when he appears before the media and talks about Carlson's statement and says that the comments were a raw emotion, and clearly it's not a wasted year in any sense of the word. Missed opportunity, yes. Wasted season, absolutely not.
I mean, I think William Karlsson maybe feels a little more like about his personal season. 9 goals, 20 assists, 29 points. That's a low going back. That's his lowest output with the Vegas Golden Knights from a totality perspective. If you break it down for a points per game ratio and everything, it's probably right there with his 21-22 season where he played 67 games and got 35 points, which probably would have paced for somewhere in the low 40s had he played the entire season. Same thing this year. If he plays the entire season, he's probably somewhere in the low to mid 40s with, call it 12 goals. So definitely not the season on paper William Karlsson envisioned. And again, we're talking about a division champion. We're talking about a team that had the 3rd best record overall in the National Hockey League. So yes, anytime you have those stars aligned during the regular season, when you don't at least make it to the conference final, I think it could feel like a year wasted. Again, Oilers are just a wagon as far as the West is concerned. So I don't know if anything was stopping the Oilers, a healthy Golden Knights team that would have had Jonathan Marchessault. So I don't know if anything changes. We'll obviously never know. Was it a year wasted? I mean, I get the comments. There's a lot of good that came out of this regular season for players not named William Karlsson. So it's definitely not a year wasted, but I also understand. I mean, there's 31 teams who feel it's a year wasted. Let's be clear about this. 31 teams had wasted years because they're not winning the Stanley Cup. So I think that's more where Karlsson is coming from than anything, terribly negative.
When he threw a temper tantrum, he caused Pete DeBoer his job, locker cleanout day. Maybe he shouldn't talk to the media is where I'm headed with this. Remember, he said DeBoer, a lack of creativity, blah, 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 just going on. And it cost him his job. So I don't
DeBoer
think
put
he could.
the spike in the coffin when he benched Robin Leonard in the end of the regular season that year.
But I don't think that Carlson can mess with Cassidy. I think Cassidy has earned his stripes. And even Marchessault says he has. And so, honestly, was he just trying to pull back, and was he trying to blame someone there at the end?
No, I don't think there's anything like that whatsoever. I think it's simply a raw emotion. I think it's I think it's a
He had time.
32-year-old that's
He had
getting
time to cool off. It was a cooling period of a few
no,
days. Like,
yeah, I get it, but we're talking a 32-year-old who recently won a Stanley Cup. We're talking someone who's seen a lot more success. We're talking someone who does feel the pressure to perform. I mean, Golden Knights have a lot of wonderful things happening, a lot of great things going for them. There is pressure from Foley and below to compete for a cup every year. So when you don't achieve that, I definitely think you feel a little bit differently. A comment that from William Karlsson is interesting because he's very easygoing. He's very my hamstring wasn't chilling. He's had some dynamite locker room quotes and things like that throughout the years and stuff through the media. So, I mean, I'm happy he feels like it's a year wasted. I think it's a good thing. I think it's good that he'll hopefully get his body right. I mean, it's something else we'll talk about. We don't think William Karlsson ever got right anywhere during the 24-25 season. So,
but
number
he
one
said
for
it
him is
wasn't.
to make sure he's healthy in the offseason.
He said it wasn't, Chris, the recurring injury that kept him down. So what could it have been?
I think I call BS on that. I call BS on a lot of things that McCrimmon said in the cleanout day with regards to injuries. And I'm not knocking McCrimmon for not disclosing them.
I think it was Carlson himself who said it. But
no, I'm just saying. Well, general perspective.
Okay.
I mean, I saying McCrimmon was BS maybe is a little bit out there, but there are so many more injuries that didn't come out. Pietrangelo talked about the stomach issue, but whatever. That wasn't part of his long-term ailment, I don't think, at least.
Yeah, it was pretty
Everything
gross.
else, I mean, you knew Eichel wasn't 100%. You knew Stone obviously wasn't 100%. Of course, he missed the last game, unfortunately. Tomas Hertl was a shadow of himself. Put Hertl on the napkin. We got to talk about him and how things didn't work out well for him at the end there. But so yeah, back to Carlson's comment. Was it a year wasted? Yes and no. Yes, because sure they didn't win a Stanley Cup, make the conference final. But I mean, you look at like the stories like Dorofeev and Howden and Jack Eichel's season, and Aiden Hill seems like he's at least good for the regular season, and he'll show flashes in the playoffs. And there's a lot that shows the team is moving in the right direction and is set up for a better 25-26 year. But there's also concerns that we'll address between now and October the 12th this year.
So if Bill Foley is a true businessman, does he try to move Carlson? They're really good buddies. Or McCrimmon would be the fall guy. He'd be the bad guy if this were to go down.
Well, Leafs are saying people from the Leafs are saying sign William Karlsson.
Saw that. Like, okay, how much do you want to give VGK? That's a great opportunity to move on. And the Golden Knights, they don't sit around and wait. They're typically not a team that's going to go, okay, bad season. Although, albeit, Carlson missed, I think, 20 games this past year.
29 games.
He missed 29 games. Oh, that's right. He didn't show up in the playoffs either.
Well, that's about 34 games. You want to do that.
Okay. But in any event, so no, for Carlson, though, why is he off limits? That's the question here.
I don't think anyone's off limits. I think when Nate Schmidt and Marc-Andre Fleury got traded close together, I think that's the moment that Foley, kind of turned heel on the city as far as being willing to do whatever it takes to ice a winning roster at that point. So everyone's replaceable. Every single one of these players is replaceable. I'm replaceable. You're replaceable. Our bosses are replaceable. Everybody is replaceable in their workforce. I'm not saying people do a bad job, but everyone's replaceable if the circumstance makes sense. And if the end game was William Karlsson's out of town and Mitch Marner's in town, I don't see a problem with that new direction. Or if it's someone else involved, like it doesn't bother me.
Coming up next, the Oilers and Panthers on a collision course to play in the Stanley Cup Final. They're both almost there. We'll get to that as we return right here on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick reporting from Las Vegas. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. Find us wherever you get your podcast. Please subscribe to our Locked On Golden Knights YouTube channel. See a lot of these. I've got friends in town for this big Bitcoin conference. It's going on in the city. Yeah, they took over the entire city. I've got one really good friend and another that I'm probably going to ignore. Probably doesn't listen to this podcast, but in any event, that's happening this week. So it's good to see the economy stimulated a little bit here in Vegas. And this is typically it goes into the summer doldrums, right after Memorial Day, quite a bit. So this is good news.
In my world, not really, because again, I got the poker background, so kind of strange for me, right? Because this was always my Super Bowl, like for me being in the poker industry when the World Series of Poker starts.
World Series of Poker, right? Yeah,
14, 15-hour days, or running my tournament series that used to be a Planet Hollywood famous poker series, Goliath. So it is kind of weird for me. Now that you bring this up, I'll make it quick so we can get back to hockey here. But it is kind of weird for me because I'm also 6 years now removed from that world, and I got my own business and everything. But I see all the poker memories popping up, everyone getting ready for their double shifts and everything, and knowing they're going to go through 2 or 3 pairs of shoes in the next 45 days. And I miss it. I miss the fight. I miss being tired. I miss all of that. But in the same breath, it's also nice being able to go on a summer vacation with my family in June and early July and not worrying about it.
For sure. Let's talk about the conference finals. Florida Panthers look to close out their series against the Hurricanes tonight, and they're playing in Carolina. That series shifts back there. Canes avoided the sweep on Monday night, and in the process, breaking a 15-game, almost a decade long, more than a decade long, right? Losing streak there in the ECT. Rob Brindamore was concerned about his team not scoring prior to Game 4, and they came out. Not only did they score, but they also got some really good goaltending from Frederik Andersen, and they had that lead 1-0 by the short guy. You can do that, like to him.
Who's that? Stankoven?
Yes, he's 5'8". He's only 5'8".
Remind me of Steve Sullivan. Remember Steve Sullivan? He runs in condos. I love Steve Sullivan.
And then now injuries are starting to add up on both sides. When does the Cup Final? Is there a specific date for the Cup Final to begin?
They'll probably announce this, but they usually announce a specific date pretty soon because there's a gap between whenever the last game is, and there's probably a good 4, 5, 6 days between the final conference final game, or if both series go to Game 6. That's probably when they'll say, okay, it's starting on this day. I think it's a bit fluid as these things are going to end in 5 or 6 games, I guess.
I want the teams to be pretty much very healthy at even strength and whatever. So the Canes now without Jalen Chatfield and Sean Walker, the defensemen, they both missed the last game, while Florida missing Sam Reinhart, AJ Green, and Nico Mikkola. And we'll see if there's going to be a ton of pressure, obviously, to avoid getting closed out at home on home ice for the Panthers on Wednesday night.
Yeah, I mean, this is, same spot the Golden Knights were in, right? They need to put some doubt in the air. They need to – you get that thing to Game 6, all of a sudden you're a game away from Game 7, and a 3-0 lead can get erased pretty quickly. So it'll be fun to watch. I don't know if I don't see the – I love Paul Maurice, right? I think he was asked about the goals that Bobrovsky gave up, and he's like, his gap was terrible, like just basically saying he had a bad game and stuff like that. But he's doing it in a fun way.
No. There he goes. There was one that was an empty netter. That's where he starts,
Yeah, no, it's he's funny about it, which is good, and I think he's keeping like he could walk up to Bobrovsky probably 10 minutes after the game, and be like, dude, you suck tonight.
Yeah.
He says it semi-seriously and also semi-smiling, and he keeps the edge off. Like, there's so much pressure right now on the Panthers. And the Hurricanes and the Oilers and the Stars. So when you have a coach deflecting as much of that pressure off the players and onto himself and putting the spotlight on himself so the players can just kind of focus on the hockey side, it's awesome. And Paul Maurice, what a gem he's turned out to be.
Yeah, he's got to be a lot of fun to cover because he's very quotable. And
oh my God, it'd be so much fun covering the Panthers.
He just seems like he's definitely enjoying the ride currently. And it's good when you have the depth where, okay, so AJ Greer goes down and his replacement was Nico Sturm. I think he won, wasn't he on a Stanley Cup winning team?
I mean, I know the name. I know he's got accolades. I can't tell you off the top of my head what he's done.
No, he's been around for a minute. Good veteran there. So they do have that depth, which comes into play as well. Out in the West, Edmonton with a 3-1 series lead, heading back to Dallas. Corey Perry, what year is this? This is like Corey Perry excelling.
Free agent Corey Perry, by the way.
The American Music Awards name Eminem the Rapper of the Year. What year is this, for crying out loud? So Perry.
Didn't Beyonce win a country album and a country award? And didn't Taylor Swift win a mainstream award? Like, what's happening here?
Those are legit.
We're in some weird hot tub time machine right now.
Those are legit. But Kendrick Lamar should have won. Obviously, just crushing it. Best rapper. Corey Perry, goal and an assist. 4-1 Oilers. The game was tied at 1 apiece. Leon Draisaitl comes out of it. Also a goal and an assist. And here's a number for you, Golick. 13-2. The Oil has outscored Dallas in the last 3 games. 13-2. And Mikko Rantanen scoreless in 7 consecutive games. So even the veterans dry up in the playoffs.
Chris Knobloch, coaching genius. How about that, huh? I say that half joking, half not. I mean, what he's been doing is just remarkable. And the Oilers got that one right. Speaking of not getting it right, Boston Bruins rumored to hire Jay Woodcroft. That's thoughts and prayers. How about this? Here's a number, since we're talking numbers. Stuart Skinner is now plus 4,800 or 48-1 to win the Conn Smythe, down from not even a week ago when he was plus 11,000 or 110-1. These are FanDuel odds, by the way, FanDuel odds. So it's
why don't we get a chunk
it's
of
still
that?
A good bet to make. I mean, he is literally maybe a shutout, or a couple real big games away from. I don't know if the voters are going to go against McDavid or Draisaitl, but you never know. You never know. Like, let's just, again, we're getting way ahead of ourselves. Stanley Cup Final, Oilers run this thing down in 5. Stuart Skinner gets 2 shutouts along the way, and McDavid, is like a point per game. Draisaitl's like a point per game, not lighting it up. It's so weird to say that, but that's what the expectations are, to see McDavid and Draisaitl doing a lot better. But yeah, I mean, Oilers are a wagon. Oilers are running through the West. Oilers did it right during the regular season as far as just kind of treaded water and everything. Of course, you're going to make the LT people in general are going to make the LTIR comment. Evander Kane misses the entire regular season. I think he was back in game 2 of the playoffs or something like that. So game 3 maybe. So, I mean, listen, it's no different than what teams have been doing for the last decade now, or last decade and a half, going back to the Patrick Kane rule, as it's commonly referred to as. So, yeah, I mean, Oilers, Panthers, if it ends up like that, which it likely will be a ton of fun to watch that get run back. And right now, Stanley Cup winners, Florida Panthers plus 105, Oilers plus 110, Stars plus 1,400, Hurricanes plus 1,800. So tells me right there it'll be a toss-up if it is Florida and Edmonton. Edmonton probably comes in as a slight favorite just because of the public betting markets.
By the way, Connor McDavid continues to score and had 2 assists last night in that game. We have to point that out. And now the loss.
He'll get better. Don't worry. He'll get better.
The loss of Zach Hyman on a very strange.
That's interesting.
It was sort of like a glancing blow to his left shoulder, and from Mason Marchessault. And that was in the first period, and he never returned in the game.
And Marchessault is a kind of a ratty player out there as far as dirty hits and things like that too.
It was a little, I don't know.
Oh no, I don't think it was not an illegal hit, but it was one of those like, okay, what are we doing?
He definitely put his shoulder out. Yes. he
Listen, I
definitely-
like Bouchard taking a whack at Rupe Hintz. Did you catch
Oh
that?
my gosh, at his ankle.
I thought that was funny. I'm sorry. And listen,
Wow.
if that was a Golden Knights player doing it in the same circumstance, Golden Knight fans would love it. So eat it up. It was fun.
We appreciate everyone tuning in, especially our everydayers tuning in around the world. Thank you so much. Keep the comments coming. Of course, on X at Lockdown VGK, YouTube, wherever you could find us. Please make your comments. For my man, Chris Golick, I'm Tony Cardasco from Las Vegas. The lights are out. We'll see you again tomorrow right here on Lockdown Golden Knights, and please take care.